overnight. President Trump's new warning about North Korea.
We could end up having a major conflict with North Korea.
As tensions with the region hit a tipping point and the clock ticks toward a possible government shutdown, the president now revealing what surprised him most as he approaches 100 days in office.
This is more work than in my previous life. I thought it would be easier.
The new interview overnight.
Tornado alert. 9 reported twisters tearing through the South, ripping apart homes, and right now a new threat moving in as the center of the country braces for a dangerous storm system, bringing flash flooding and even half a foot of snow.
The first phone call from jail. What the former teacher accused of kidnapping his 15-year-old student told his estranged wife from behind bars. The emotional new interview and what she said when he apologized.
And caught on camera, the terrifying moment the Jeep flipped over and over on the interstate, rolling across several lanes of cars in rush hour traffic. The driver ejected. The miraculous moment he walked away.
Live in Times Square, this is GMA with Robin Roberts, George Stephanopoulos, and Michael Strahan.
You want to see that again, Michael?
Yeah,
Can we show that? Wow. The Jeep flipping and then and he got
Look at
up?
that.
Gosh, amazing.
Very lucky man.
Yes, indeed. Good morning, America. George has the morning off. Happy Friday to everybody, and a revealing interview coming up with the president from last night.
That's right. He said his life has changed so much in ways he didn't necessarily expect. And while, of course, he was never used to having a lot of privacy because he says he's been famous for a really long time, this level of a lack of privacy is something he never really expected.
And he also reveals what he misses the most, which is going to surprise a lot of people. It's driving. I never pictured Donald Trump driving.
No, neither did I.
I picture him in the back of a big limo.
We're going to have more on that, and we're tracking, of course, a lot of big stories for you this morning. Just one day to go before President Trump reaches that milestone first 100 days in office. Congress has until midnight to strike a deal and avoid a government shutdown. And overnight, Republicans decided to hold off on a health care vote. And President Trump will head south this afternoon to address the NRA. He'll be the first president to speak to the gun lobby group since President Reagan some 34 years ago.
And we'll have much more on that in just a bit. But first, let's go to our chief global affairs anchor, Martha Raddatz, for the very latest on President Trump's tough talk on North Korea. Good morning, Martha.
Good morning, Amy. Tensions are already so high with North Korea, and this fiery rhetoric ramps it up even higher.
Overnight, a jaw-dropping statement from the president.
Well, there's a chance that we could end up having a major conflict with North Korea. Absolutely.
The comments coming just one day after the president and his top national security advisors briefed Congress on the tense situation, calling North Korea an urgent national security threat. On Wednesday, Admiral Harry Harris, the commander of U.S. Pacific Command, suggested placing ground-based missile interceptors in Hawaii.
Kim Jong-un is clearly in a position to threaten Hawaii today.
A U.S. military strike on North Korea could put American allies, Japan and South Korea, as well as U.S. forces in the area, at risk for a retaliatory response from North Korean forces. When asked if President Trump considered North Korean leader Kim Jong-un to be rational, the president saying, "I hope he's rational," noting that Kim Jong-un took over the regime at a young age. Saying he's 27 years old, his father dies, took over a regime. So say what you want, but that is not easy, especially at that age. President Trump saying of the crisis in North Korea, "We'd love to solve things diplomatically, but it's very difficult." Secretary of State Rex Tillerson and Defense Secretary James Mattis earlier issuing a joint statement saying, "We remain open to negotiations toward that goal. However, we remain prepared to defend ourselves and our allies."
The goal, of course, to pressure North Korea to dismantle its nuclear and ballistic missile program as North Korea prepares for what could be yet another nuclear test. Robin?
Thank you, Martha. And as the president closes in on that milestone 100 days in office, he's not only facing rising tensions with North Korea, but also challenges he did not expect in office. Our senior White House correspondent, Cecilia Vega, those details for us from Washington. Good morning, Cecilia.
Hi, Robin. Good morning to you. The president is reflecting back on his life before he moved into the White House here, 99 days in, and now this admission this morning. This job is a lot harder than he thought it would be.
I loved my previous life. I had so many things going. This is more work than in my previous life. I thought it would be easier.
On the eve of his 100th day, President Trump making that admission in that Reuters interview, and he is kicking off his milestone with a historic visit, speaking in front of a friendly audience.
You gun owners better get out there and vote, I'll tell you. You better get out.
The president appearing at the NRA's annual meeting in Atlanta after earning the group's early support on the campaign trail.
We are going to save your Second Amendment, which is under siege. And as you know, the NRA endorsed me with the earliest endorsement they've ever given.
But as the president takes center stage, he is keeping quiet about new questions involving his former national security advisor's ties to Russia.
Any regrets about Michael Flynn?
Thank you very much.
The Pentagon's top watchdog examining whether Lieutenant General Mike Flynn broke the law, telling Congress it has initiated an investigation to determine whether Flynn failed to obtain required approval before accepting thousands of dollars in business from a foreign government. Those payments including $45,000 Flynn received to attend this Moscow gala in 2015. Where Flynn shook hands with Russian President Vladimir Putin. President Trump later firing Flynn, in part because he failed to fully disclose his ties to Russia. Democrats releasing this letter from the military showing the year before Flynn's trip to Russia, he was specifically warned foreign compensation requires advance approval. Democrats sounding the alarm, accusing the White House of a cover-up, questioning why the Trump administration won't turn over Flynn's hiring documents.
And it makes the American people think the White House has something to hide.
The White House pushing back.
I was frankly taken back by his comments today because they're frankly not true.
Now, Sean Spicer was asked if he is comfortable with the vetting that Flynn received before the president named him his national security advisor, whether maybe the administration missed any red flags. Spicer's response, it was the Obama administration that was responsible for Flynn's most recent background check. Robin.
All right, Cecilia, thank you. Amy?
Robin, thank you. And joining us now is the Attorney General of the United States, Jeff Sessions. Thanks for joining us. And as we just heard, National Security Advisor Michael Flynn under investigation by the Defense Department for accepting those foreign payments. Will the Justice Department be investigating as well?
Well, they'll do their responsibility, whatever that is, and we always do. I'm not involved in that investigation and wouldn't participate in it and don't know anything about it.
Yeah, you've recused yourself from investigating anything involving the presidential campaign, so you would not also be involved with anything regarding Michael Flynn?
Well, I don't expect to, no, yes.
All right. So you're a key member, though, of the national security team, obviously. Do you have any concerns about how members of your team, including Michael Flynn, were vetted before accepting this position?
Well, Michael Flynn's not a part of my team. He's been was part of the White House advisor on the national security issues. So we need to do a good job of vetting that, but that's a complex issue, and I'm not sure anyone could be expected to find that.
Are you comfortable with the level of vetting that was done?
Well, I'm comfortable that they're working hard to do vetting, but it's obvious that oftentimes you don't catch everything that might be a problem. I don't know the facts of this case, and maybe there's an explanation for it.
All right. You are going to Long Island today to speak about violent crime and gangs. Tell us what the purpose of your visit is and what your message will be.
Well, we see this MS-13 gang that has been involved in that area as a national threat, really. It's grown dramatically. It now has 10,000 members in the United States. It's being organized and led from El Salvador, from prison, actually. They're sending a lot of money back. They're prostituting girls as young as 12. They're using extortion and murder, and we're going to go after them, and they can be defeated.
You're expected to be greeted in Long Island by some protesters. New York Assemblyman Phil Ramos says that the issues around gangs are complex and that making this a part of the debate about immigration, quote, makes this is an attempt by the Trump administration and Mr. Sessions to justify their belief and their message that immigrants and young immigrants are people who intrinsically have a propensity for violence. What's your response to that?
Immigrants are great for America. We admit 1.1 million a year, every year legally. That's the system we have and we believe in and will support. But persons do not have the right to enter the country illegally. And if they commit crimes, they should be tried and convicted like anyone else and then deported as the law requires. That's what we're talking about, enforcing the law fairly and objectively, and we're targeting the criminal element first.
Mr. Ramos is saying that basically you're implying that the fact that you're an undocumented immigrant makes you more likely to commit a crime. Do you believe that?
What I'm saying is that we're going to tell the truth. And the truth is many of the people involved in gangs in America today, much of the drugs that are being distributed in America today is being distributed by illegal aliens. They're coming mostly from Mexico, but many of these gangs now are Central American gangs. Many of them did come as unaccompanied minors. That does appear to be the case.
You said you're here to tell the truth, so you believe the truth is that if you're an undocumented immigrant, you're more likely to be a criminal than if you're just a natural born American citizen.
Amy, I didn't say that.
I was just trying to let you clarify.
Well, I'm just saying, what I'm saying is that those who are here unlawfully, many of them are undocumented aliens who commit crimes, should be tried like anyone else and deported.
Tomorrow is President Trump's 100th day in office. In an interview on Thursday, he said, "I loved my previous life. I had so many things going. This is more work than in my previous life. I thought it would be easier." You were coming up on your 100th day as Attorney General. You were sworn in February 9th, I believe. How does the reality of your job compare to your expectations of it? Is it harder, easier, same?
That is a good question. It's been a 7-day-a-week job, 12 hours a day, but really interesting and fun. We've got some great people in the Department of Justice with high ideals. We're going to reduce the criminal crime in America. We're going to focus on protecting American civil rights. We're going to end the lawlessness in immigration. I think we can do that, and I think we'll make the American people proud. That will be our goal.
All right. Attorney General Jeff Sessions, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Amy. Now to that threat of a shutdown on Capitol Hill. Congress trying to reach a deal to keep the government running before the midnight deadline. Our congressional correspondent, Mary Bruce, has more on the last-minute negotiations. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, Robin. Well, after a lot of back and forth, lawmakers this morning are expected to approve a spending measure to keep the lights on, but not for long. This is just a one-week fix to buy more time for negotiators to work on a broader deal. Now, Democrats had threatened to block this short-term measure if Republicans pushed for a vote on health care. But after a late-night huddle here on the Hill, it's clear Republicans still don't have the support to get this done. Now, House Speaker Paul Ryan has said that until they have the votes, there will be no vote on health care, which means the president will hit that 100th day without a single major legislative victory.
So, Mary, what do Republicans have to do to get a new health care reform passed?
Well, Robin, now that the conservatives have backed this latest bill, the political pressure is on the moderates. But some of those concessions made to get conservative support is giving them cause for concern. Now, the question now is what comes next and whether Republicans can strike that balance to push this over the finish line. But right now it goes to show how divided the Republican Party is. Robin.
Still is. All right, Mary, thank you.
All right, Robin, and now to the Pope's big trip. Pope Francis heading to Egypt this morning amid heightened security to visit Christian and Muslim communities after the recent terror attacks. Our chief foreign correspondent, Terry Moran, is on the ground there in Cairo. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning, Amy. Pope Francis was told by Vatican security that in coming here, he was taking a real risk. But he's coming anyway because he wanted to seize this opportunity. So Cairo right now is on lockdown. There are tens of thousands of security personnel fanned out across the city because the threat of violence is very real. Just 3 weeks ago on Palm Sunday, 2 horrific bombings at Christian churches, killing dozens, ISIS claiming credit. But Pope Francis is refusing to use an armored vehicle while he's here, and he's going to hold an open-air mass, part of this papacy's tradition of being close as possible to people. And his message to the people here, he will express solidarity and brotherhood for Egypt's 9 million Christians who are under attack from extremists. And he wants to express brotherhood across the religious divides in Egypt and in this very troubled region. Amy?
All right, Terry Moran, thank you for that. Also overseas, British authorities say they have foiled an attack plot after arresting 6 suspects during a dramatic raid in North London overnight. They fired tear gas into a home and shot a female suspect before making those arrests. Details of the alleged plot have not been released, but police say the raid was not related to the arrest of a man carrying knives outside British Parliament on Thursday. He's being held on terror charges this morning. Authorities say he was known to police and was being monitored before his arrest. Back here in this country, Arkansas has executed its 4th inmate in the last 8 days. Kenneth Williams was convicted of murdering a college cheerleader and a former corrections officer. The ACLU claims Williams struggled during the lethal injection overnight and is now demanding an investigation. State officials say they were forced to schedule a series of executions this week before one of their lethal injections drugs expires on Sunday. Michael?
All right, thank you, Amy. And now to a major development from United Airlines. The airline reaching a settlement with Dr. David Dow, the passenger who was violently removed from a flight. And ABC's Alex Perez has the details from Chicago. Good morning, Alex.
Hey, good morning, Michael. It's been 18 days since this ordeal began and that video went viral. And now United is hoping this settlement will help put this episode behind them.
After that dramatic video of Dr. David Dow being dragged off a flight in Chicago, oh my God! This morning, United Airlines and the 69-year-old Dow announcing they have now reached a settlement. The terms not disclosed.
Oh my God! Look at what you did to him!
Less than 3 weeks ago, April 9th, O'Hare Airport officers forced Dow off an oversold flight to make room for United employees. Dow suffered a concussion, broken nose, and lost 2 teeth. United CEO Oscar Munoz criticized for his initial response.
Do you think he's at fault in any way?
No, he can't be.
Now issuing yet another apology Thursday.
Sorry simply doesn't go nearly far enough to address the shocking way one of our passengers was treated that day and for our response that followed.
United's response now a 10-point policy change, including increasing the amount an agent can offer a passenger for their seat to $10,000. Other airlines also feeling the heat. American called out after an altercation between a flight attendant and a mom of 2 over a stroller, leaving her in tears. And Delta under fire after this newly released video of passenger Kima Hamilton being kicked off his flight in Atlanta April 18th.
I'm not really clear on why I'm being asked to leave this plane.
For going to the bathroom while the plane was waiting in line to take off.
And in the middle of all this passenger backlash, a big announcement from Southwest Airlines, a big policy change. The airline saying they will no longer overbook flights. Michael?
All right, thank you, Alex. I'm sure everybody's happy to have that behind them and to move on. And it was a big night for Texas A&M's Myles Garrett yesterday. He was the first overall pick in the NFL draft, going to the Cleveland Browns. And it went down in Philly last night. And there was one person who wasn't or may not have been having the time of his life. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell was booed for almost a minute when he took to the podium. If you ever wonder what that felt like, listen to this.
Come on, Philly, come on. There you go.
Now, those 70,000 Philly fans, they booed the commissioner all night. Every time he stepped out there, they booed him. And the city hosted the draft for the first time since 1961. And we have something a little bit on a sweeter note on the NFL draft. Check out this adorable moment. Denver Broncos draft pick Garrett Bowles. He stole the show. He held up his son, Houston, who I got to say is the sharpest dresser at the NFL draft, which is like a fashion show.
I know.
Yes.
Some of those shoes, too? That's
yeah.
Wow.
And I got to say, for the commissioner, if you're not booed when you're in Philly, they don't care.
Those fans are committed.
My favorite place I've ever played in because of that. Absolutely.
Ooh. All right, let's get to Ginger now. That possible tornado damage in the South?
Yeah, and by the way, that's called passion, right, Michael? Boom.
Absolutely.
You know what? 9 reported tornadoes. There'll be damage surveys going on today from Clayton, Alabama, there to Junction City, Georgia, and another threat that comes in today and tomorrow. We'll have much more on this coming up. But let's go ahead and get to your weekend getaways, brought to you by Sprint.
This is Rosenberg. It's my son. He loves taking pictures. And this camera, it's amazing.
Lease 2 Samsung Galaxy S8s for the price of 1. And with Galaxy Forever, you can upgrade to the latest Galaxy every year. Would that work for you?
Yeah, it works for me.
Plus, you could get unlimited for $30 per month per line for 4 lines. And for a limited time, the 5th line is free. Would that work for your son?
Rosenberg, does it work for you? He says it works for him.
Don't let a 1% difference in network reliability cost you 50% more with Verizon. Sprint works for me.
One stellar Friday awaits you. Now, humidity is dropping. We'll have sunshine throughout the day. Temperatures in the mid-70s at recess time for the kids. 82 by drop-off at the bus stops today. 85 our max temperature for today. Tomorrow's high 91, but look at the heat index values. It will feel like we're in the lower to mid-90s tomorrow with some isolated showers and storms. Near record heat Saturday, we've got